objective of the social contract that allows people to be governed. Can I just finish, please?
Why were they banning all these issues in the town?
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Why was the MDC banning all these people's things in town? Yeah? What was that?
Are you done?
I'm not. Why is it that they ban all the issues, the things in the town? Don't try to correct yourself when you are wrong.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can I answer somebody else? Clearly you don't want an answer. Yeah. Let's go back to the question.
This is nonsense.
Your opposition supporters chanting Chamisa have been on the streets protesting their rights, and I'm sorry for the loss of life.
Thank you.
However, we have seen that some of the protesters were throwing stones at riot police and at Zanu-PF headquarters. We've also seen that Chamisa supporters have been setting roadblocks, burning tires.
Going to address the ordinary people because people listen to the leader.
He is going to address people at the appropriate time. Can I take one more question? The people of Zimbabwe have a right to peaceful demonstration at any time, and no one can say that they can't do that. It's a right that is enshrined in the Constitution. Thank you.
With the comments that were made, especially yesterday, by both Tendai BT, but also by the tweet that the Nelson Chamisa sent out.
What tweet is it? The one he pulled down. What tweet is it?
It's a tweet where he wasn't accepting. He wasn't accepting the he was saying like that the MDC has won.
And
that's a fact.
Why is that wrong, sir?
But the ZEC has not announced.
Of course, why haven't they announced? That's the question. In 2013, by this time, we had the results.
You're not answering a question, sir.
2013.
Answer his question.
What is the question?
His question is, why do you incite people to rebel when results are not announced? You are blaming ZEC. It's not right. Answer the question. The results are not yet out. Why do you declare yourself a winner?
Listen, sir. You don't have to like my answer. But the clear answer is this. The clear answer is this, if you want me to repeat. It is every citizen's right to demand that the results are produced in reasonable time. Okay? The fact that the results for Harare Central, that is just next door to ZEC, had not been released by midday today is inappropriate and suggests that something wrong is happening. We've been here before.
Is that for the loss of life because politicians yesterday called on ordinary innocent people to take to the streets? And they were not there to give direction when people took to the streets.
I do not know which politicians you're referring to.
Tendai BT, we've got video circulating. Tendai BT saying we are not going to accept anything but a Chamisa win. Is that democratic?
That is not calling people to the streets, is it?
It is. We've got the video circulating. It is.
Going to respond to the results in a jihad manner. And he was riled up and saying a whole lot of things right after the first.
I don't speak for Mr. Jabajaba. No.
But he was speaking as a member of the alliance.
And
do you know who called in the army?
We have seen a statement to the effect that the police have called in the army, and we do not see the need for that, for them to call in the army.
Mr. Sibanda, why?
The process itself has been flawed with irregularities, and that in itself suggests that there was an intention at the very least to start with, and the delayed announcement of the results tells me that. The fact that they decided to announce results from far-flung places of the country instead of announcing results from Harare suggests that, and the manner in which they've released them suggests that there's an intention.
But you don't have a parallel vote count that shows that the vote that's announced is wrong. You do. So you. Sorry. So when are you going to release that?
What do you have to say to your supporters who were angry, who were very upset, who were frankly a bit violent on the streets? What would you tell them to do?
You know, as the President said, the President encourages peaceful exercise of rights. And I say to our supporters, if they're going to exercise, the President said to his supporters, if people have to exercise their rights, they have to do so peaceful and lawful.
But if President Mnangagwa accuses settling blood on his hands, what do your party want to say?
You know, I don't understand this narrative.
I see that ED has said just now that he blames the MDC for the violence.
He's free to say what he wants. President Chamisa has not ordered any guns on the street, so he cannot be accused of being violent. He has put no guns on the street.
What are you going to do next?
I'm not going to do anything. I'm a spokesperson, so I don't do things. He will announce that if he wants me to tell you.
Mr. Silenda, what is the main problem for you? Is that this B11 form, is that the rural vote? Where was the biggest fraud according to the MDC?
The fraud follows the whole trail. You look at starting with the voters' roll, you go on to the process of election, the ballot paper that we talked about a lot. It's audit trail, but the manner in which the results are being announced now indicates very clearly that there is an intention. There is no explanation as to why results are not being announced. They are being rolled out in the manner in which they're being rolled out. How do we have results from a place that has not had a line first before we can have results from Harare Central? Are you justifying murder? Is that
No. Why are you inciting people to You cannot attack a person who is asking a question. Don't attack him. Answer a question.
I've called upon anybody, any citizen, whether they support us or support anybody, to exercise their rights, not just in respect of their own rights, but with a dual responsibility to respect the rights of the others.
But throwing stones, do you condemn that? Burning roadblocks or barricades, do you accept that as part of it? Or is it, do you condemn it?
On behalf of the President, his message can't be clearer. We condemn violence in all its forms.
Are you telling your supporters not to burn barricades?
We're telling everybody, that violence is not in our DNA. And let me be brutally honest with you.
Where's Chamisa?
Let me be brutally honest with you. My experience in this country and many other dictatorships is that when you have peaceful demonstrations and the state wants to repress those demonstrations, they will send people who will pretend to be your supporters, and they will start up the violence and give them an excuse to react offhandedly. And I think that this may be one of those things that we're experiencing, and happens in most leaderships. When I was a student, and I know that for a fact.
Okay. There's a question.
Is unusual times in our country. We've asked you to come. Obviously, as I said, these are very unusual times, and I'm going to read a statement as the President would like to communicate with the country, the presumptive President. President Chamisa is shocked, saddened by the events in the capital today. This country, Zimbabwe, is for all who live in it. The rights and freedoms of our citizens, as enshrined under our Constitution, are the fundamental basis upon which the relationships between the people and the state are based. The deployment of soldiers and the regrettable loss of life by unarmed citizens and civilians today is reminiscent with and reminds us of the dark days of the cruel killing of thousands of innocent civilians in Matabeleland in the 1980s, and the brutal murder of hundreds of MDC supporters in 2008 following the electoral theft. Today we saw the deployment of military tanks and firing of live ammunition on civilians for no apparent reason. Civilians are allowed to demand the respect of their rights in a lawful manner. Any disorder may be dealt with by the police, who are best trained for public order. Soldiers are trained to kill during war. We are seriously made to wonder what this means. Are we in war? Are civilians the enemy of the state? The loss of lives is the most painful experience we ever get subjected to. We are deeply hurt and feel vulnerable in our own country. The manner in which ZEC has conducted itself over the past few months and the announcing of the election results is irrational, inflammatory, and frankly dangerous. These young people have borne the brunt of poverty and bad governance for a long time and decades, and they rightly yearn for change. We condemn, in the strongest sense, the action that was taken today. There is no justification whatsoever for the brutality we experience today. Let us all maintain peace in the country whilst respecting the rights of citizens. The idea that protesters are violent is a false narrative that cannot be justified. We urge Zimbabweans and supporters to exercise their rights with due regard to the law and the rights of other citizens. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission has a responsibility to handle elections in a manner that is fair and does not unnecessarily prejudice the peace and security of our country. We call upon the law enforcement authorities to be human and exercise restraint accordingly. The force used today was clearly disproportionate and unjustified. The brutal murder of citizens is not the way to address the concerns they are raising. We are all Zimbabweans. That's a nice question. It really doesn't matter who started it. Okay, I'm done.
Mr. Sibanda, may I please...
Can I just answer the gentleman first?
Yes, sir.
Abantu bathaya ngingena sizathu esifundakalayo ukuthi uPresident Nelson Chamisa Drayi kungabe lozakaleliso.
Ngamazwi kaPresident Chamisa yilobela.
Yes, uPresident Chamisa Drayi kungabe lozakaleliso.
Selizokwenza njani njengoba
sicela ukuthi abebutho sotsha namapholisa nabantu basiphathe ngendlela ekhuthaza ukuthula lezi.
Sizothiwa bakhona babizwe ngamapolisa. Sibanda, sizothiwa bakhona babizwe ngamapolisa ubithi lo Bondo. Akusitshele iqiniso na.
Ngizosho bona.
Baphiwa betheswa umthetho ulandula.
Sir.
Okay. For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.